I'm so excited that you're here with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I'm
Okay,
excited. All the growth.
I know I'm just like so pumped, but I really, really want to I just want to shut up and let you guys rip. So, Ria, the reason I'm starting with you first is obviously for a lot of reasons you're the bomb, but what's so important about you is the growth that you've had over the last several months for your agency as a leader, as a mentor, as well as still top three, four, like literally had 80K months as a personal producer. So I'm going to kind of shut up for a little bit, but I would love for you to give us kind of your best 5 to 7 minutes about what exactly has changed for you, what's working for you, maybe some things that are some mistakes that you're like, whoa, I can save you guys from this, what you're doing with new agents, and just anything that you think is going to help these guys take it to the next level.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot about myself in the last few months from, the building aspect, but I've been here for 5 years, guys, just so you know, five and a half almost now. But I'm usually a numbers person. And when you are dealing with team, new agents, business partners, whatever you want to call them, it can't just be all numbers. And I'm learning that quite a bit here. But I'm going to give you guys some things that you guys, if you're not doing them, you have to figure out a way to start doing them. Otherwise, like even your mentors on here, your uplines, whatever you want to call them, they've already told you to do this stuff, but for some reason you guys are not doing it, right? So I'll start with the numbers stuff, and then I'll start with the stuff that I've learned as I'm dealing with different types of people. But you guys that are brand new, you guys that have been here for a while, you guys need to be tracking everything. Okay. And I do mean everything. You guys are not W 2 workers. You guys are business owners. The sooner that you treat this like a business, the sooner that you're going to get paid. And we all tell you, like we've say, I say this until I'm blue in the face. You need to track your dials, your pickups, your presentations, your closes, your hours worked. That's just like the start. That's for personal production. Once you start building, you got to track a lot of other stuff. But all that stuff is important. That way you can measure kind of where you're lacking. And a lot of us tend to think that we work more than we actually do. When you track stuff, you can actually see what you're not doing. Great example is I had a conversation with an agent the other day, quit his job to do this, and we were going over his numbers. And I can tell by leaderboards who's buying leads, how many hours they're working. You can just reverse engineer it. And I said, hey, how many hours did you work last week? And he's like, a good amount. And I'm like, no, look it up. You have it tracked, right? He only worked 35 hours. That's not
Right.
enough here. We're in 100% commission sales, right? You guys have to track this stuff so you know where you're at. You might not be getting the result that you want because you're not following the system exactly. Okay, so track everything. In the beginning, this business is obnoxious, like it's really, really hard. So the more that you can front load and put into this, the quicker you're going to get the skill set down. Okay, so that's kind of my analytical part of how I've always been. Marissa knows, a lot of you guys know me. I'm very analytical and I do numbers and all that. Not so much with the emotions and the, dealing with different types of mindsets and people and stuff like that, but I'm getting better at it. I recognize it as a weakness. So, one of the things that I've been going over, new people that I bring into the business is that, and the best way for me to explain this is an analogy. Think of this business as you're going to college, right? If anyone went to college and you paid for a degree, whether it was a scholarship or not, just drop a one in the chat, please, real quick. Okay. So a lot of people. So you guys went to college, assumably for 4 years. Some of you might have master's degrees, so even longer. You went there, you paid to go for that long in the hopes that you guys would get a job that would pay you well, right?
Mm.
We have a system here where you can literally spend months learning, get that college degree, and it's to print money. And I'm being very honest. You can earn a degree here to print money. The problem is you guys want instant results. You want to make Desiree's 40 grand in 1 month. You want to make D'Amica's 56 grand in your first month. Treat it like college. You're learning, right? If you don't get the result that you want, it's not a failure. You're learning, right? The problem is people quit too soon. They don't get the result after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, and they quit. If you guys just work this like you're getting a degree and you don't quit, it works. You just saw all those people making money. This business works. Are you going to make it work? That's up to you, right? So treat this like college. People have no problem spending 4 years doing a college degree, paying all that money to try and go get a job to make money when you guys can do that here day one. One of the things that when I came into this business, I already had a sales background, almost 7 years. So I was used to sales. Those of you that have never done a sales job, you're coming from W-2 or you've been doing sales, but not long. You need to understand that sales people learn to love rejection. Okay. Most of you guys get on the phone for a day and you guys get emotionally wrecked by all the no's and rejection and hangups and people cussing at you, and you bring it into your next call, you bring it into the next day, the next week, and then you guys quit. You guys need to build the skill set of just letting go of what happened on that call. If I go through a 45-minute call where I'm sure the person is going to buy from me and they shut me down at the end, I get off the phone, I take a breather, and I go to my next call, just like a brand new call, right? I don't bring it into that. You have to learn, like, you're getting like your no's and your rejection is you getting one step closer to that yes. And here, that yes on average is making you $800 to $1,000, right? So for me, I've struggled with kind of relaying that type of stuff to people. I'm always like, just get on the phone and dial. Just track your numbers. Just do this. Not everyone is like me. So that's the best way that I have to kind of explain it to you guys. This business works. I started 5 years ago when we were going in the home. Most of you would have quit because before that, people were doing paper apps and I wouldn't have done that stuff. We have it so easy right now. Take the time to get your degree, to learn how to print money, get used to saying no, follow the system, ask for help. This business works and it can give you everything that you guys want. So that's what I
That
got for
was
you.
That was mic drop, Riyadh. But I want to ask you one more thing. So that was incredible advice. And I think a lot can be said in the same regard in terms of like recruiting and building. And I think you've had that a little bit in your journey where sometimes like it could be frustrating because like I'm doing everything I can to help these people. What's one thing that you have learned about like the agency management side of things that's really helped you in building your team?
Yeah, I think, and I've gone back and forth on this, but I think helping people too much can hinder them. We
Mm.
have a system here that works. Guys, to be very transparent, like my upline came into this business 2 months before me. They didn't help me at all. I learned nothing from my upline. I went out and got the information from people that I felt like I connected with within Family First Life. And I just went after it. No one was going to dictate how I did at this business, right? So it's not your upline's job to make you successful. They're going to help you if you're working, but it's on you guys ultimately. So one thing I do want to say that I've learned, and people like Sean Mikes told me this so many times, just Marissa was not the upline. No,
I'm like, whoa, 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 guys.
I didn't just blast Marissa. No. One thing that I've learned from the recruiting side and the building side is number one, you guys need to start right away. If you're not recruiting, you don't have to purposely recruit, but you need to introduce this business to people, because if that person that brought me on didn't just post something on Instagram, I might not be here today. And it's changed my life. So I'm glad that they did, even though they're not a part of my business anymore. But also, I used to think that recruiting and building was different than selling. It's actually very similar, right? When we're on a phone call with a client, what we're doing is trying to find their problem, highlight it, and solve the problem with them. It's the same thing with recruiting. We're trying to find your guys' problem, which is I hate this job. I'm not making enough money. I want more time with my family. We're trying to highlight that. And then we're solving that problem with this business model. So, what I have found is I need to treat recruiting and training and all that, the building aspect, a lot like selling. That's for me at least.
That's huge. I love that. Well, Riyadh, thank you so much for getting on with us tonight. Like I said, we could not be like more excited and proud of your growth and just what you're doing for the whole squad. And I think another thing, guys, that we have to remember is these guys don't have to do this. So them being willing to get on and share with the team is like, obviously such an honor. So hopefully you guys took a lot of notes. Drop a RM in the chat if he killed it. And then let's hop over to Des. Des, you ready, girl?
I'm ready to roll.
All right. So kind of same thing with you. You're producing at a very high level, $40,000 a month, easy.
Mhm.
And then also your team's growing. So you're kind of doing that, working that both muscles, selling and building type deal. Give us
Yeah.
your, 5, 7 minutes on
Oh my
what you
gosh.
think is working and what these guys can do to get better.
Yeah, Riyadh hit on a lot of really good points. I would say when I first got into the industry, I was very inconsistent. I was inconsistent with my schedule, my lead spend, looking at the numbers, kind of like what Riyadh said, if you embrace rejection, I wish I had like different things to gamify rejection and numbers and tracking your KPIs and whatever else. I didn't even know what a KPI was when I started. But something that truly changed the game for me when I started was um, looking at this industry as a business. So I came in and I was part-time. And the moment somebody said, "Hey, this is a business and you have to invest into leads," the when I was investing into leads consistently is when I saw the most production. And so it's super simple, right? And I know Riyadh hit on this too. Lead flow, right? Your activity and then training. So we have the best training in the entire industry. You saw when Marissa posted the slide. We have training after training after training. And the biggest thing is don't confuse yourself as like a training goer. If you go to a lot of trainings more than you dial, that's not going to make you money. So then focusing on your income producing activities, and we have all these fancy acronyms. That just means, yo, you better be on the phones 90% of your day. Calling a client, talking to the client, overcoming the objection, and be a master of your craft because we could get paid more than doctors, more than surgeons. How are you going to expect to make that kind of money if you're not even studying on your downtime or you're not obsessed with like overcoming an objection, or you're not listening to your call recordings? If you're not recording your calls, that's already a big mistake right there. And I wish I had all of these nuances right from the beginning because that's going to save you so much time, energy, and effort is being a master of your craft and being hyper obsessed with that. So I think looking at this and treating this like a business, just like any other business. And if you guys know a small business owner, I like dare you to go ask them how much they started or how much they invested into their business. And you could Google this too, but it takes about 1 to 2 years for a normal business to become profitable. So if you open up a restaurant, you want to open up a coffee shop. I always love using this analogy because you have to spend money before you make money. And here it's very fast. It's not going to take you 1 to 2 years. So the moment I was like, okay, cool, I have to restock my shelves. And then I would look at who here, raise your hand if you were lead squeezing. Like lead squeezing, sometimes we have to do it. But can you imagine like trying to sell expired and old groceries? So I was just looking at it. I was like, okay, cool. If I'm a business owner, I have to restock my shelves. People are going to walk in. What's going to be different from like, me selling this over here versus another store? Oh, they have newer groceries. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. Restocking. So looking at this as lead flow is truly, truly cash flow. Because if you have more people to talk to, you have more opportunity. And the more opportunity you have, the more presentations you're going to go through, and then you just get better and better and better. And then when you kind of look at, again, your activity, I could go on and on, but like being hyper obsessed with understanding, okay, I'm going to have more presentations. And all a presentation is you pitch to somebody. You go from the beginning of the sales process and you say, hey, here's option 1, 2, and 3. Which one makes the most sense? They either say yes or no, and that's a full presentation. So not when you ask health questions and they want to get off the phone, not when you go through financial questions. You go through a presentation A through Z. And if you understand, okay, I'm going to have more presentations than I'm going to have sales. And then you're like, okay, what do I have to do to have 4 presentations in a day? And you just work the formula backwards. How many leads do I have? How many dials do I have to do? How many inbounds do I have to take to get 4 presentations? And you get obsessed with your formula, it's like game over. So those are just like some things that helped me in the beginning. I could go on and on and on. And don't be a training goer. I think I said that too. If you're like, okay, I'm going to way more trainings, and then talk to somebody who is get advice from people who are doing better than you. Right. So I would hit up Riyadh if I'm having sales issues. Hey, Riyadh, do you want to hear this? Like, can you listen to this 20-second clip? How do I sound? He's going to give me feedback. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to take that feedback. Don't take advice from people who are not doing as much as you, right? Not in a rude way, but you have to spend your time with the people who are where you want to be. So those are a lot of things. Go to every in-person event. I'll kind of hit on Ignite really quick. But my very first event and I want to say it was my first 60 days of being a brand new agent. If I would not be here if I didn't go to my first convention. I swear to goodness, I would not be here right now. And it took a lot of like, again, looking at this, like investing into a business because I was flying from Washington State to Florida. That was my very first convention. And it was like an $800 flight. And I was like, no, heck no, I'm not going to that thing. And then the moment I shifted my mindset to like, okay, this is a business investment, that one flight or whatever I paid for the Airbnb and the flight and whatever it was made me so much more money. And I wouldn't be standing here today if I didn't exercise on that opportunity because Family First Life, it provides like sales conferences. Go ask some of your buddies in other sales industries. It's like thousands of dollars. I looked at real estate conferences when I was in real estate and I was like, 2 grand, I don't have 2 grand, I'm broke, right? And so I had to tell myself, okay, if I go and this isn't for me, at least I went there. But going to an in-person event will show you what's truly capable because the moment you know this is an even playing field, again, it's game over. So I don't know. I don't know what else you want to ask on, but I could keep going.
No, that was gangster, Des. And one thing I want to just like clarify too that you hit on that I think is so important about you specifically, and that I want everyone to hear is when Des says, "Hey, get around people and ask them advice." Des has also always been really ready to receive the advice, and I think that's super important because a lot of times we're asking, like you ask your upline, like, "Hey, Des, what can I do?" And then she gives you an answer and you don't like the answer, and you're like, "Well, I'm not doing that. I didn't do that," and we almost can like get defensive in like, well, I called the leads and they didn't answer and I got an objection. They hung up on me. So you're telling me these leads are good. So I think part of what you said, guys, and this is so important, is you have to be also in a place. If you're going to ask for advice, you have to be in a place that you want to make the adjustments and you want to understand that they are right. And Des has always been really good about that. I think it was like a year ago, Des, or a little bit more of a year ago, you and I had a call and you were like, "What's up? Like this, what's going on with my business?" And I don't think you liked to hear it, but that call was like on a Friday. And on Monday, she's like, "I did everything you told me to do." And I was like, "Whoa, for real?" And she's like, "Yeah, because I trust that you know what you're talking about." And she wasn't like, "Well, I don't think I really did that. I wasn't
Mhm.
doing that. I wasn't." And we were talking about financials and maybe you're spending too much money on this. And not one time were you like, "Well, I don't agree." She doesn't get defensive when the advice comes. And I think a lot of times we can do that and we can hold ourselves back because we don't like to be wrong. Right. So I can
Right.
ask Des, like, what am I doing in my presentation? And Des is like, well, you're not getting the bank account information because you're doing this. And then I'm like, well, I didn't do that. I told him this. And then the client said that. And then the client did this. And I start to blame other things. So I think something so important, Des, and what you've always been really good at is not only do you ask for help, but you're also really ready to receive the help. And I think that could help a lot of you guys on this call. And sometimes, like, I've even heard, like, well, my upline's a jerk. And it's like, maybe they're not saying it in a way that you like it, but they really are just trying to help you. So if you're being coachable and you're ready to receive the information and what they actually say, like they're not doing it to be a jerk. If they didn't want you to make money, they wouldn't have hired you. So
Right.
sometimes we can ask like, "Hey, what am I doing wrong?" And then you tell them, you're like, "I don't like that answer." So be really ready to be coachable. And Des has been like the number one person who does that. So, Des, thanks so much for your time tonight. You absolutely crushed it. It's an honor to work with you all the time. So, drop a DB in the chat, guys, and then we are going to move on to Mr. Dom Scalise and Vantage Financial, which I'm really excited about.
What's up?
Dom,
How's it going?
how's it going?
It's going.
Was
Happy
this
to
a
be
record
here.
month for you guys?
This was a record month.
A
Yes.
record month. You guys are killing it. I almost said you guys are savages, but then like Nicole's the actual savages, so I can't say that. So, I love it. So, Dom, talk to us about whether it's your journey here, but more importantly, what are some things that you've implemented as a manager? Because you're a top leading manager in your agency that are really helping you and your guys, excel.
Yeah. So first thing I want to say too is it's always obviously always good to, see the new highs and everything. But something I really want to highlight that I feel is more applicable is my business, and maybe some other people have felt like this before too, has been a little stagnant. So anytime you feel that way, there's always ways to get over it. So I really want to go over what I've kind of implemented recently to get out of that stagnant. No one likes feeling stagnant in your sales, in your growth. We always want to reach new highs. So I want to go over that as well. Um, But the biggest thing that we've really implemented is new leaders. So establishing new leaders, people who step up, and you never know who it's going to be, but by giving them that chance, you kind of see who it is. So the whole saying, new blood kind of helps everything. It raises standards, it shows what's possible, and it's really, really inspiring, not only for the people who have been doing it for a while, but also for those newer people to see what's really possible. So, how can this be done? This can be done using the KPIs, really tracking, hey, how many dials can people really hit? What should the metrics look like? So, kind of having it like a leaderboard in a sense. Huge on competitions as well. We kind of see what it did with March Madness, freaking killer for all of Inspire. So have those competitions with your team. I kind of see Nicole with her Mexico trip. That's fire. And it kind of hypes people up. So just by doing those fun things, allowing people to step up, allowing people to see what's really possible, it's like a rising tide raises all boats. So if you're seeing that stagnant, feeling like, oh, damn, I should be doing more, new blood, new people allow those that have been here and newer people to really grow.
Yeah, Dom, I love that. And I think another thing too, guys, just to kind of piggyback on what Dom and I want you guys to understand this about the people that are on this call. It's easy to get on these calls and think like, oh, Dom, Des, Riyadh, like they're already killing it. They're making a ton of money. They must just be like rolling it and going on vacation all the time. Dom, I saw a group chat in your thing like maybe 3 weeks ago that was like, hey guys, we're opening the office on Sunday starting now. So talk about some of that too, because I think a lot of times people like you don't think that these guys are working as much as they're working and sacrificing as much as they're sacrificing, and then you can't believe that you don't have the same results. But these guys are really doing it. So talk about some stuff that you guys, some things in your culture that are really allowing your guys to kind of excel, such as like you guys are going to the office on Sundays now, like no days off.
Yeah. Yeah, so the biggest thing is setting a standard for yourself first and foremost, and making that the standard, I guess.
Yeah,
So
and you follow that too, Dom, which I think is a huge deal.
Oh yeah. So that's what I've really learned from you and from Sean is leading from the front. So if you want, people to follow, they need someone to follow. And I didn't understand that at first, and I wasn't very good at it at first. I always like to say I wasn't even a supervisor at the valet, like no one trusted me to lead anyone. I was barely allowed to drive the cars. But it's like just by stepping up and showing how it's done and showing what's possible, people follow. So something we do at the office, we get here at 8 a.m. 8 a.m., we open it up. If you're not here at 8, kind of weird. What else are you doing? And shoot, it's 8:40. There's probably like 15 people still out there. So it's just setting that culture of grind now, why wait? Um, Also, the ability to do this on Saturdays, do this on Sundays. It's when it's not being done, who else is going to want to do it? So it's just allowing people to show up, getting the Zoom culture going. Yes, we have the office, but it's also establishing that it could be done either way. That's kind of the growth. So even if it's smaller settings, you don't have an in-person setting, do it at the house, get some people going local. But just kind of opening it up to anyone who's willing to. Because at the end of the day, I've realized this, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So it's just by presenting that opportunity, setting something new, doing something that may be uncomfortable, and that's kind of where you can get to where you've never been.
Yeah, I love that, Dom. And you've always been such a leader from the front guy. I mean, even right now, it's what, 8:41, and you're at the office
Hmm.
doing this training call. So I think that's the thing, guys. Sometimes we can get it twisted. And when I say we, I used to do that. Like as a brand new agent, I would look at people that were like really successful and I'd be like, well, yeah, but they're not really like they're not, they're just on vacation and they got these nice things and they did this, but I never see them actually. And it was like, no, they were in the office. They were on the phones. They were doing this stuff. And I was making excuses for why I wasn't there. So Dom's always been, practicing what he preaches. So love that, Dom. Thanks so much for getting on with us tonight. Drop a DS in the chat, guys. And then I'm really excited because we're going to move on to Trey, who we've not heard from before on our call. So, Trey, how are you? Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. What's going on? Thank you so much for having me. Truly, it's, an honor to be speaking, next to these guys that I've been watching on the call for so long.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So talk to us because you're a little bit newer in the industry. You're kind of like
Yep.
the rookie here on the call. So talk to us about what you
Yeah.
were doing before, your journey, how you got here, and how you got such like a fast start as an agent.
Yeah, so funny enough, I was doing valet. Big surprise there. I'm under Dom. He was valet as well. And Sean brought me into the business. He saw me working valet one day and was like, "Hey, I got this opportunity." Brought me into it, and obviously Dom's a great leader. And like you said, he's leading from the front and really just kind of showed me the set the speed of how I need to be doing things. So I came in and just really put in the work and really just honestly just put in time. I mean, it's funny how, you hear Riyadh saying, you need to track your KPIs. That's the biggest thing I changed this month. I started tracking my KPIs. Desiree's talking about, you need to not be scared to spend money on leads. I doubled my lead spend. Surprise there. And then, Dom saying you put in the time and, I didn't have a single day off in March and, showed up on the weekends and surprise, I had my biggest month ever. So it really is a simple formula.
It is kind of crazy too, Trey, because I feel like we get everyone on and we're like expecting everyone to have this secret sauce, and you're like, I just literally did what everyone else told me to do, and it worked.
Oh, yeah, literally, exactly. There's no secret sauce here. I just put in more time, track my dials, and put in more to lead spin. And it's crazy. The best training is really dialing and really getting those reps in there and showing up in consistency.
Yeah, and I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're in the office, right? I seen not too long ago, I know some of the guys went out to play softball and you were like staying behind dialing. I'm like, you're not going. You're like, nope, I'm making my sales. So the sacrifices are
Absolutely.
doing what you need to do. But Trey, talk to us. So when Sean saw you at the ballet and was like, telling you about this life insurance thing, because I think a lot of recruits can kind of have this thing, and I did too, about did you think that it was gonna be what it is, or what was your kind of like first impression?
Honestly, it was much different than I expected. So I had actually gotten my life insurance license like a month before with another agency, and it was just a bad experience. Like upline, no support, really just kind of schemy how they did things. And so I was like kind of hesitant. But I'd seen Sean on Instagram, and I was like, I mean, if there's anybody to try and follow into the industry, I might as well listen to this guy because he's obviously doing something right.
That's huge. And Trey, how long have you been selling with us?
March was my 7th month, so I sold my
Okay.
first policy September.
Okay, so a lot of people are right where you are at in terms of timing, right? But they're not having the success. Like obviously we talked about the KPIs and track your stuff and things like that. What's maybe like a mindset tip you can give them? Because I think where you're at in the business is a pivotal point, right? A lot of times people want to try this for 6 months, and if they don't have the success, they're like, this doesn't work. Maybe I should quit. So there are people on this call that are having that thought right now as we're speaking. Is this for me? Maybe I should quit and go back to working at the valet. What's a mindset thing that you can tell them that you've learned?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really a couple things that I really focus on. One, I'm really big on inputs, right? Everybody wants to focus on the sales and all that stuff that comes with it. I'm really big on just showing up consistently and putting in the dials. And you put in the inputs, the outputs will come. And another thing is, you're your own boss in this industry, obviously. You can either be a really good boss to yourself or not so good of a boss. So I'm a great boss for myself. I show up on a consistent schedule. Really, I take like no time off, honestly. My girlfriend gets mad at me all the time. And I'm just like, I can't come home early. I'm sorry. Oh, but you can make your own schedule. I can, but I'm also, sticking consistent to my schedule, and that's why I'm seeing, the success I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, and that discipline is a huge deal. I always say that I think that's the number one like reason that people sometimes fail in the industry. It's not the sales, it's not the leads, it's not the clients. It's they just can't hold themselves accountable to where they're supposed to be. Trey, is there anything when you came
Absolutely.
in, you said you focus on the inputs, and a lot of new agents have this weird thing about leads, right? It can be really risky if you've never done it before. What was your mindset around leads? Like, were you right off the bat like comfortable doing it, or did that build up for you?
It's funny enough that, Desiree mentioned how, her first Ignite event changed her life. I actually feel the exact same way. Obviously, I said I started September. October was the Ignite event in West Palm. And, prior to that, I spent like $1,000 on leads that prior month. I was obviously a little hesitant. No one's used to just throwing thousands of dollars into leads. And then I remember sitting there, and it was the leads panel. Like I remember it vividly. And just sitting up there and just everybody saying, I'm spending 6,000, 10,000 on leads, and they're selling what I want to sell. So in my mind, I'm like, if I want to sell that, obviously I can't do that spending less money than what they're spending. And I literally got back. I signed up for, a self-gen campaign with Leads for Life or a Life Agent Launch, and really just started dumping money into leads. And when you start spending that much money on leads, you hold yourself a lot more accountable because you want to show up because you spent a lot of money. So you want to make that money work for you.
Yeah, that's huge, and I love that. And one thing too about you is because you have the office and you go there. I remember when you first started, like your first week, Dom's coming over and kind of whispering in your ear, like, say this, do that, kind of what's up. A lot of times people want to like almost dial in the quiet, or they want to turn off their camera or turn off their Zoom because it can be like you get uncomfortable when you first start. How important is it for these guys to really be able to like get the feedback real time, whether it's on Zoom or in the office, and like just go through that uncomfortable like coaching period?
Yeah, feedback's everything, honestly. And I was really big on that. I was never scared to ask Dom for any feedback. I always liked having that feedback because at the end of the day, you know, they know what they're doing. You don't when you're coming into the business. And the best way to shorten your learning curve is not to sit there and like in the dial, dial in the quiet, just whispering. You're not going to get any feedback and you're going to get same results. And then that's how people get out of the business. By asking for feedback and being like, hey, Dom, can you listen in on this call? Or hey, Dom, can give me tips on this? I keep losing people right here. I was really big on writing down where I was losing calls. Getting that feedback really helped me excel and really helped, push me forward. Because obviously he's doing it. So I want to see what he's doing and what his thoughts are and what I'm doing and how I can change.
I love that. Well, Trey, thank you so much. You can tell just in the way that you speak and like your confidence in the business and in yourself and the sacrifices that you have made to do 40K this month. So we're just really excited to have you. And it means a lot to us that you hopped on and trained with the team tonight. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me, truly, honestly.
Yeah, we'll have to get you on a call where we got a whole 45 minutes for you to lock down. So drop
And
a
let's
TT
do it.
in the
Let's do it.
chat. Let's do it, guys. Drop a TT in the
Let's
chat,
go.
double T, and let's hear from our Savage Solution, Miss Nicole Pacharka.
Hey girl,
How's it going, my friend?
going good. How's it going with you?
Good. Was this a record month for you guys?
It will be as soon as the numbers are updated.
All
Absolutely.
right. I like it.
Yeah.
Records on records. Okay, so you have been a really high personal producer, Nicole, but we're talking to you as a manager tonight because your agency's taken off. Your people love you. You've been a really great mentor to people. And that, to be honest, because I know you very well, was not something in the beginning that came super naturally to you. So I would love for you to kind of just talk about what's been implemented in your agency, what's working for your people, but also people on this call are nervous about growing an agency. Maybe it doesn't come to them naturally, and I'd love for you to kind of give some advice on that if you can.
Yeah. I think that it's funny that you say I'm a great mentor because it took me a lot to get to where I am now as far as being a mentor and like being there for other people. So I think last year was a very big learning curve for just myself personally. I think that one of the biggest couple things that I kind of changed was really meeting people where they're at, right? Like personality wise, I think that that was really, really hard for me is to change my personality because I'm always been like a very straightforward, no emotions. I'm like, why aren't you doing this? You're freaking crazy. And obviously, a lot of people don't learn like that. So it was a big learning curve for me to now be able to like talk to different people different ways. So I think that that was one big thing that I learned personally last year that has now developed better. Obviously, still working on it, but I've gotten a lot better at it. And I think that that's helped a lot, especially with the new agents, especially with the more emotional, people who need that little bit of hand holding at the beginning to really start to excel. One thing that I would say is I think for a really long time I looked at it and Riyadh kind of hit on it, but in a different way was like you have to look at recruiting and building your agency as sales in a way of if you have two interviews on your calendar, that would be like having two leads, right? Like you're just not setting yourself up for success. And it's all of recruiting, right? It's like, okay, you make 5 sales, maybe one of those is going to not stick, right? You hire 5 people, there's probably more of those who aren't going to stick. So it really is all a numbers game. And so you have to set yourself up for success just like you would in sales. Another thing that I think was super beneficial was pouring into your business. I know Dom had mentioned like my Mexico incentive that I have coming up with my team. And that was like one other thing that I struggled with a lot. I was like, I'm pouring into my business. What do you mean? I'm buying myself leads. Like that's what I looked as pouring into my business. And it's like, no, I'm pouring into myself, right? Like myself is not my whole business. My business are all my other agents, as well as what I'm spending on leads for recruiting. So I think that that was one other big thing. Doing lock-ins all last year. If I had 5 agents show up, I'm like, we're doing it, right? I don't care if I lost money, which I did on some of the lock-ins last year. And then as far as
Oh, Nicole, I think I accidentally muted you when I was trying to mute someone else. My
sorry.
bad.
No, you're good. You guys are really just killing it today. No, I'm just kidding.
Strike for me.
And so incentives, right? That was huge. Lock-ins were huge. Even when I wasn't bringing in money from it, I would still continue to do it. And then ads, right? Like I think all last year I didn't spend money on recruiting. I kind of just did it from TikTok because it worked for me a couple times, where I'm like, it worked for me a couple times. I'm just going to continue to try and do it. And I started spending actually money on ads. And I think that that's what helped us a lot. And then also like not just trying to do everything myself. Like I think that that was one big thing. I'm like, I'm the leader. I have to figure this all out myself. I have to do this all myself instead of, you know, trying to build other leaders. I'm like, I'm just going to build a bunch of people who are, you know, just doing whatever. And now that we actually have a core amount of leaders that now know what they're doing, they know how to train agents, they all have ads going, it's like it takes a lot of weight off my shoulder, but also it helps us grow so much quicker, because one person can only do so much. When you have so many other people doing the same thing that you're doing and are growing as well, it just helps you grow as a team. And then of course just the BOMs, that was also a huge thing that we started doing to make it as easy as possible for new agents to start recruiting. So like making sure that they know, like, you literally don't have to do anything but send this to a bunch of people and you can make extra money by just bringing somebody onto the agency, even though you didn't have to do anything for it. So that was pretty much a lot of the things that I kind of implemented, that we changed and helped us build.
I love that. That's savage. And here's the thing, guys, we're going over on this call and I don't care because we only do it once a month. And this is such good information. So we're not getting off in 5 minutes. We're sticking this out and we're learning from these like bosses. So Nicole, I want to ask you one more thing. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I know this because I have insider information, right? Don't tell anybody. But so at convention, they only announced the top 3 recruiting managers, but Nicole was actually number 8 in the entire company for all of 2025 in recruiting managers and the amount of people that she was bringing into the business. So, shouts to her. That's absolutely insane. So, but here's the thing, Nicole. I think we talk a lot about like rejection in sales, and obviously recruiting at such a high level, you also get a lot of rejection in recruiting, right? People will say, this is too good to be true. It's not legit, right? You can go to your TikTok, and I saw you on live the other day, and like someone's making a comment about, oh, life insurance is this, life insurance is that. So I think that can deter a lot of people. Like even for me, when I first started recruiting, and obviously you were one of them who would be like, that's not real. But it can be uncomfortable, right? When people kind of like give you shit, for lack of better terms, back. So what's some advice that you guys can give to these guys that as you're recruiting, if they're getting any uncomfortable conversations, like how do you just keep going and get through that?
Yeah, I think this is something that I struggled with, as you know, like I was not into social media. I literally wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't ever really want to talk about this opportunity with anybody. And so that was just something in my own that I had to get over. But what I've done, which I think, I mean, it helps me and I think that it will help you guys, is anytime I get like a bad comment, I mean, depending on how bad it is, right? If it's like super inappropriate, I'll probably just block them and I'm like, never have to hear from them again. Sounds good. If it's not like super inappropriate, most of the time I'll just leave it, you guys, because this is how I look at it. I mean, I've had all the things talked about me on TikTok and social media and all the people bashing me. And how I look at it is, I'm doing my job correctly because my name's getting out there. Whether it's good or bad, like people are talking about me and that's all I care about. Because the more people talk about me, the more bad things there are, the more good things there are. My name's just gonna continue to blow up. And people are going to want to work with me because a lot of the people will see the good side of it. And then the other thing is like I have been doing TikTok lives and I highly suggest it for you guys. Like if you do create like a social media, I mean like just the other night I randomly got on, I had like 250 people in the room. I had so many questions going on. And anytime somebody was negative, I would just be like, hey bro, we're just chilling in here. We're just having fun. So if you want to bring your negative Nancy ass somewhere else, go for it. But it ain't happening in here. Like we're just chilling, and like just break like taking it like sales, right? Like you get so many no's, you get so many F offs, and that's exactly how recruiting is going to be. And you just have to, it's just a mind thing where it's just like you just have to keep pushing past it because every F off or this is a scam or this, every one of those that I get brings me that much closer to somebody who is actually going to take this seriously. Hopefully that
100%.
answered your question, but
No, absolutely. And guys, I think that's a thing is like we get nervous when but like we think every single person has to join our team. And so like if one person gives us a bad comment like, "Oh, selling life insurance is a scam" or something stupid like that, then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do." And it's like, okay, they don't have to join your team, but the next person might. So it's like not every single person needs to join your team. Like if you don't think selling life insurance is a legit career, then you don't do it. And we're gonna keep doing it and we're gonna keep killing it. So like on to the next. So Nicole, you've been really good about that. And another thing, you guys, just to finish up with Nicole here, that you guys can take a really good lesson from her is she's not scared to do anything. So I think that's what's really important is like it doesn't make her uncomfortable. Like she can post the cringiest stuff, which we love her, but she's not like, "Oh my God, I posted something cringy, like people are going to judge me." Like she's just taking action and a lot of time massive action. Like if we told Nicole like, "Hey Nicole, let's go make this video on the side of this cliff like doing something crazy." She'd be like, "I'm in," because it might work. And that is like an attitude that I just love so much, guys, is like she has no fear of like what people are going to say. She's like, "If I get one recruit from this or I get one person that I can help sell life insurance from this, like who cares about the rest of it?" So if you guys can embody a little bit of like that attitude as you start recruiting and building your team, I think it's going to take you really far. So, Nicole, you crushed it. Thank you so much, guys. Drop an NP, and actually, we'll do an NPNP because we're finishing up here with Mr. Nick Pompile, and we are staying on this call. And I'm really excited because this is such good information. Nick, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you loud and clear.
All right, 48K. Now, I know you've sold a lot of insurance, so I can't remember. Is that your biggest month?
No,
No,
no.
what's your biggest month?
Like 55.
Oh, just a measly 55 grand. See, that's what's crazy is like it's cool for it to be a record, but it's like even cooler for it not to be a record. So it's insane. So Nick, you have been obviously somebody that we love in our agency. So thank you for getting on. And from a personal production standpoint, what are some of the best things that you have learned that are letting you hit these crazy numbers month after month after month?
Yeah, so I would say like, not to get complacent. I've been heavily trying to build up my people on my team. Michael Graff, for example, my sister, really trying to like invest in them as well as also set a good example. Because, if they see some guy who's, you know, is good at selling and he can do it whenever, but he's not actually putting the work, like that's just not a good example to set for people that come in the office. And like I'm a leader in the office. I know that, and I'm going to continue to be a leader. So the only way I know to continue to be a leader is just to continue to do what I do and lead by example. I don't really talk that much. I just try and just go to work and try and help out any way I can.
Yeah, I love that. And Nick, I know I always ask you to tell this story, but I think it's just so powerful for brand new agents. And especially when we talk about like everyone wants to see overnight results. Can you talk about, because obviously, and guys, let me preface this with this is like what's so important about Nick is Nick doesn't just have like a 50K month. Like I just asked him what his record was and he was like, "Oh, it was 55, but I did 48 this month." So this is something that's consistent for him. Right? Like anyone can have a big month and then just like not do anything with it. So this is month after month for him. But Nick, talk about when you first came in the first like 3, 4 weeks in the business. What did that look like for you as a brand new agent with us?
Yeah, it was super tough. And I was coming from another life insurance company for 3 months. So, like, coming from doing life insurance and having some experience to then coming here and not selling a policy for a whole month. And then the lady canceled like the next day. It was like crazy. So, like, now, like, we're trying to have people come in the office and start fast. Like, Trey, I mean, absolute animal coming in, just started crushing it. Like, Michael Greff, my guy, he's like been my best friend since we were like, little kids in like elementary school. And it's crazy. I was actually talking to him. He's been in the business since like October, late October, November. It took me, because we went through like all the numbers, it took me 6 months to do 20 grand in a month. He did 45 grand in his, I mean, I'm not good at math. I could usually count on my fingers. Maybe like what, 5 months? He did like 40 grand, 45 grand a month. So it's crazy. It's crazy, like the evolution and all of us like we're just getting 1% better every day. And it's really just like a great thing. Like Dom's having record months, Nicole's having record months. Like everyone is continuously doing better. Like I remember like when I first started, like the list of people doing 30 grand was a hell of a lot lower, and it's just crazy like the people that we have, it's second to none. That's why like this company is, by far light years ahead of anyone else in any insurance organization.
Yeah, and I love that you said it just keeps getting better because it does. And it's so cool because everyone's journey, and I feel like that's what I want you guys to get out of this call. At the same time that these guys are crushing it and Nick is like a killer, what he's saying too is like everyone's journey is different. Like Nick, you had that kind of struggle at the beginning, right? Where you were like, this first month was really hard. Now you're a 50K producer, and you're like, it took me 6 months. And Michael Greff, my guy, he's killing it as well. We're gonna get him on a call next. But it's like he came in and did it in his first like 3 months, right? So
It's
it just
crazy.
continues to show like everyone's journey is different. And if it hasn't clicked for you yet, it might click. We don't know. We can't write it off. And if it clicked for you right away, okay, you might stall a little bit and then you figure it out. And then maybe you crushed it right out of the gate and now you need to have a little plateau. Like that's all part of the journey. So, Nick, what are some things because you obviously sell a lot. You do almost entirely final expense. And so those are big numbers to be doing final expense. What are some of the like sales tips that you can give these guys? Like the things that you say on the phones to clients during the call. So maybe some objection handling stuff that really you think gets you to close sales.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, the most important part is making sure you build value and you really, blow up that why. Like, why is a person looking into the life insurance? Why do they want to protect them? Like, is it going to be difficult if Betty doesn't have something to get them through a tough time? And like, you are making a huge deal out of the why. And that's why my calls are very long. Like, I rarely have closes in like 30 minutes. Like 30 minutes is like extremely quick. It's only if like I'm calling someone back and like we're just wrapping it up. But like usually my calls are going for over an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours sometimes. It really just depends like if it's a husband and wife, building the why, asking a lot of questions. Like I like that's why my persistency, that's why I got an award for having great persistency is because I ask a lot of questions and I build a why and I assume the sale. Like I assume and I know the answer that they're gonna give me, even though like, it's be like, well, why would you have to ask that? Well, like I'm asking for a reason, like, because I want them to tell me yes, because I know what I'm saying is right. So, like, assuming the sale, like we always talk about in the trainings, as well as not asking like open-ended questions. Like the answers these people, like they're asking you for help, like they obviously don't know what they're doing. So, like, they're asking us to inform them and help them. So, like, the answers are very simple. The answers from the clients are either yes, no. That's it. There's nothing to talk about. Like, is this affordable? Yes. Is it going to be difficult for your wife if something happens? Yes. Like, okay, do you want to add more coverage? Or is that comfortable? No, that's comfortable. Does all that make sense? Yes, like asking all those rhetorical questions like over and over and over again and just making it very simple for these people. Because like I have a ton of people that I talk to that they're like, oh my gosh, Nick, like I've been putting this off. I've talked to a ton of people, but we just never really pulled the trigger. And like I just try and do every single thing I possibly can in my opportunity and my power to really like help these people because people don't want to be sold, they want to be helped, and really just make sure that they understand what they're getting themselves into. Like this isn't like just something like, hey, yeah, like you're gonna pay $50 a month and it'll be there if you die. Like no, like what is it gonna do for your wife? Like how much money is gonna be left over? Like is it gonna be difficult? Make sure your wife saves me as a contact. Make sure that if anything happens, you give me a call. If anyone else calls you about life insurance, then hang up the phone and call me. Like that little stuff like that is like why I think my business sticks and I think why I'm able just to consistently sell at a high level. And also another thing is, making sure that you are really going above and beyond to make sure that you are really trying to put these people in the best position. Like I always relate to my family when I talk to these people. Like, John, I'll be honest, like I'm not here to waste your time. I'm not going to BS you. I'm just going to be very upfront and honest with you. Like I'm going to recommend what I'd recommend for my own family for you. If it's a good fit, I'll tell you that it is a good fit and like why you need this and why it would be difficult based off what you told me. But if it's not and you have everything figured out, like I'm not going to waste your time. Like I'm just going to pick up the phone and call someone else, just like Riyadh said. Like if you have someone that like sometimes like I said, I talk to people like a long time on the phone and sometimes it's honestly like both of us going back and forth for a long time, like kind of going in circles. But I always try and like go above and beyond and like tell them like, hey, like I know we're going in circles here. Like I know you maybe don't like trust me or think that I'm like legit, but like, dude, I don't understand like how other way I can possibly tell you like this is real life insurance. I don't know what coverage you had. Like this guy, for example, is actually a crazy story. Like 2 weeks ago, this guy had a policy where the agent didn't put the health questions correctly on his application. So I said, "Hey, John, that's kind of weird. Like you're a smoker and like you have this stuff going on. Like let's go ahead and do this. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you a call back. I know you're driving. When are you gonna be home? 30 minutes? Sounds good. I'll give you a call in an hour. You're gonna go ahead and grab your packet. We're gonna take a look at it and see what's going on." Little to find out, he grabs his packet. I was right, and the coverage he had was way too cheap. And like we were going back and forth. He wanted to think about it. I'm like, dude, John, like what is there to think about? You're saving, you're actually like getting a policy that's gonna do what it's supposed to do. Like you're paying 300 bucks a month. Like you want it to go to waste, or do you want it to actually protect your family? So like, and we were like actually cursing at each other, and I actually ended up selling him. I'm like, John, like calm down, dude. Like, said some other words, but like that's what it is. Like I really try to help these people, even if these people think I'm crazy. Like I really just try and help them. And if it's like to a certain point where like we're just kind of wasting time, then be like, John, like it's okay, man. Like I don't need to waste your time. Like I have people calling me as we speak. Like it's okay. If you want something, just give me a call,
Yeah.
and I'll just kind of
Well,
like
and I
cut
love
the cord.
Oh, sorry to cut you off, Nick, but I do love that about you guys because if you were to hear Nick on the phone with a family, like he's talking to these families just like he's talking to us right now. Like he's just so real and raw, and that's super important. And like he said, he does have the top three persistency in the entire company, which means his business stays on the books better than anyone else in the company. So that's huge. But I think what he's saying, guys, is he's building so much trust. And even when you say stuff like that, Nick, like I'm gonna put you in a position that I would put my own family in is huge, right? And even when you talk about compliance, guys, like for our team, like be compliant, don't lie to the clients. Like we need to make sure the guys, this is their life, right? This is what's going to protect their family when they're not here. And so Nick, you can hear you get really heated in the office. And he's like, I'm heated because it pisses me off that another agent did something bad to a family. Like he's like, I'm mad for John because if John doesn't get this coverage, he has a lie of a policy that's not going to pay his family. And that should upset you. So I've seen some people come in the office and they do say that, Nick. They're like, Nick's kind of crazy. And I'm like, yeah, he's mad that the clients don't understand how important it is for their family because he cares about it that much. So, Nick, you have been literally amazing. We're so honored to have you on our team, guys. And I think this call has been fire. So, drop another NP, you guys. Nick, thanks for getting on. Thanks for closing us out. And I think
Thanks for having me.
we've gotten so much good information from these six guys tonight, which is amazing. And I think we should just do this every month where we have six or seven people come on and just drop knowledge. So I love you guys. I'm excited, guys. Let's keep pushing. We'll get March Madness numbers out here shortly, and let's just keep going out and protecting families every single day. All right, talk to you guys soon.